Welcome to The Humble Daughter, a space where faith, family, and real life come together. I'm Amanda, a wife, a mom, and a follower of Jesus, learning to find beauty right in the middle of the chaos. Around here, we talk about motherhood, marriage, and trusting God's plan when life looks nothing like we expected. Because even in the ordinary, the messy, and the mundane, God is working. This is where we learn to surrender our plans and find joy in the here and now, and see that every season, even the hard ones, can be ministry. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about something a little controversial, or at least something that I think can sometimes be controversial. The specific topic we're going to talk about is marriage and what that looks like whenever you go to heaven. But what's controversial about it is just like doubts or fears that you have from the Bible or God's word. So the biggest fear that I had as a child growing up is learning about heaven, which is crazy because that's like a positive, great thing to look forward to. But I remember as a little girl hearing that life after death and, heaven was for all eternity. And I can still distinctly remember being a little girl and just being like, forever? Like it will never end, ever, ever. And I would just sit and get in my head about that and be like, oh, that sounds scary. That sounds awful. Like, I don't know why, but I just thought that was the most scary thing I'd ever heard. And now as I'm an adult, it doesn't scare me as much. But now that I'm an adult, I have new things that scare me. And one major thing that really startles me and bothers me, and I'm working on understanding it, and that's why I want to talk about it today, is that when you go to heaven, the Bible has made it explicitly known, at least from my understanding and a lot of people's interpretation, that you will not be with your spouse in heaven. And as somebody who is happily married and needs my husband, not afraid to say that, I'm not a strong, independent woman, I guess, but, I am, but he just makes me stronger and makes me braver and more independent. I need him. I want him. To imagine being in heaven not with him is very upsetting and startling to me, and I don't like that. And that is the controversial part. I don't think you should, as a Christian, feel that way, but I'm sure I'm not alone, and that's what this page and this channel is for. So I found a couple of things. I've got notes here. I'm going to pull over my computer to kind of like get us started. So the first thing that I could find about it whenever I'm looking it up is, does marriage continue in heaven? So Matthew 22:30 says, at the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. So it almost says that Jesus explains that earthly marriage is something designed for this life, so a life on earth, a reflection of God's covenant love, companionship, and a partnership in a world where we need help, family, and growth. But in heaven, we won't need that structure anymore, because we will finally experience the perfect love and unity that marriage was meant to represent, but it's complete connection with God himself. And I love that. That's beautiful, but I still am a little saddened by that. A good way to kind of explain it, I wrote it down like this, is marriage is a shadow of something greater. It teaches us what love, service, and covenant should look like. But in heaven, we'll be living inside of the fullness of that love with God himself. So we won't lose love. We'll just experience it perfectly for the first time ever. Which is, again, a beautiful sentiment. And I try to lean into that. Whenever I struggle with this. We will know each other in heaven, though. So this is where I I don't like that, but this is where I start to find a little bit of comfort in it, it is known and stated in the Bible many times that we will know each other and recognize each other in heaven. 1 Corinthians says, 13:12 says, now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And Matthew 17:3-4 says, when Jesus was transfigured, Moses and Elijah appeared, and the disciples recognized them, even though they'd never met them before. So we can confidently believe that you will know and recognize, your spouse, your children, your family, and that bond and love that you shared won't disappear. It will just be redeemed and made perfect. It's just that's so hard to comprehend and wrap your mind around, isn't it? But if God cares enough about us to know every hair on our head, he is not going to erase, you know, these relationships that were built through love that we had on earth. He just transforms them. I wrote it down as our love won't be smaller in heaven. It will finally be whole. So as I ask you, as you know, someone who has children or who is married, what emotions or feelings does that bring out in you? Have you leaned fully into that and you accept that God knows what's best and that we won't feel like we're missing out on anything because we will have that connection with God and be in heaven and feel that wholeness? Or, you know, is that a hard concept to accept? Because I'm sure I'm not alone, but for me, it is a very hard concept for me to accept that I won't go to heaven and just be with my husband in the way that I am with him now, or with my children. I can't even think about that because that is something that pains me, but it's something I do need to think about and accept and gain more understanding about. So prepare myself, I guess, if you will, and accept it and understand that it is what's best. Another thing I thought of is, and I kind of wrote some notes for comfort whenever I was thinking about this episode, is that no, we may not be husband and wife in heaven in the same way that we are on earth, but we will still know each other. And the love that we shared won't be gone. We will remember it and it will be made perfect. So we can stand side by side, not as spouses, but both as children of God, fully whole, fully loved, worshiping together. And honestly, you know, that makes me love my husband even more now, knowing the eternal purpose that God had for us. Just something that I think doesn't get talked about enough. And having these fears and doubts does not make you less of a Christian or less of a believer or less worthy of all of the greatness that is to come. I think it just is a very human emotion, especially if you loves your spouse, which we do. most of us do. Maybe somebody's reading that and they're like, woohoo! But I hope not. So if you've ever had this thought or this worry or this concern, let's chat in the comments. Let's connect. I do think that it can be something that for somebody who has lost a spouse or lost a loved one, it can be sometimes discouraging to think about, like, oh no, well, we won't even, you think of that promise like, I'll see them again someday in heaven. And that promise is still very much so real and what is going to happen. You will know each other in heaven. You will be connected with those that you loved on earth in heaven. It's just, instead of making each other whole, you will be whole, have and understand that perfect love that we just simply, we strive for here on earth, but we have, no matter how wonderful our love and connections are, we just have not yet achieved. And we will be made whole in heaven, and we will get to share that with them by knowing them and being connected with them in heaven, but it won't be the same type of relationship that we had on earth, and that was the divine plan. So trusting and leaning into that was the plan the whole time, and this is what we were made for, and we will be fulfilled and happy with that, is what I try to lean into whenever the thought of that makes me sad. So hopefully that's a comfort for you as well, and I will see you next time.